Hi, Vagrants. It's been a little while. Unfortunately, my mental health condition actually prevents me from creating new material for my channel from time to time. However, things are improving slightly, and I will be trying to increase my output over the next couple of weeks. Speaking of fun things over the past couple of weeks, the US elections concluded recently after so much nail biting that half the world's fingertips actually managed to look like mine, which, as many acquaintances of mine will tell you, is quite a feat. A slew of other countries also formed governments or ran elections, from Belgium through Jamaica to New Zealand to Bolivia. And certain elections had more positive, hopeful, and aspirational messages than others, of course. Others, like the government formation in Belgium, felt like a long overdue, if anticipatedly underwhelming, orgasm. Something which you know needed to happen, but which for reasons not yet apparent will not make you feel any better. And that exact feeling brings me to a topic I'm curious to actually know what you, listeners, viewers, think about. The issue is we go through elections where occasionally there is some actual real passion. Occasionally there are legitimate promises of a better future across the horizon. But that passion, those promises, are timid glimpses of a better future at best. Obviously your experience may differ, but to be fair, myself, I cannot remember the last time I witnessed a European election where the main election issue was a coherent, holistic vision for the country. Meanwhile, all indications are that both voters and politicians alike in advanced economies have entirely internalized the feeling that fundamental change is not only not possible, but anyone also pushing for it is suspect. Look at the response to the UK's Jeremy Corbyn, or the US's Bernie Sanders. Hell, even young firebrand Greta Thunberg got the kitchen sink thrown at her for daring to plead for a fundamental change to the way we run the world. And that was a 16-year-old autistic kid. As a people, it feels like we've imbibed a deep, unyielding pessimism and complacency about the future. Voting people like to blame politicians, and, they aren't wrong. Politicians can be awful. But there's something more at hand. The voting public is no vestige of virginal purity, goodwill, and common sense wisdom personified neither, as much as Marxists and conservatives alike love to imagine at times. Voting people themselves, ourselves, are complicated. We sail the same river current of dominant trends, norms, and ideological paradigms as our managers, our bosses, and our elected and sometimes unelected rulers. To some extent or another, average people are just as convinced that the same old marginal policies will put society on a different track. Old marginal policies like a little increase in healthcare spending over here, a cut in welfare benefits for the undeserving over there, and of course a wholesale privatization of national infrastructure. Despite this particular track having been laid by exactly those ideas over the past 40 years, and leading nowhere good. Having thought about this, I want to trial my own modest vision for a different but plausible set of policies to legitimately change things. The way I see it, there are three non-exhaustive areas in which pointed actions can act as pressure points to create the beginnings of systemic change. I talk about systemic change. I'm not a Marxist. I don't believe in revolutions, nor do I believe in capitalism as a self-conscious force of evil in this world. No one invented capitalism, and no one person or nation can end it. What I do believe we can do is specific things that inevitably cause change. The first few pebbles to roll down a hill to create a landslide of change. And as aforementioned in my mind, there are three areas which need those pointed actions. Those three areas, as I have coined them, are energy, society, and the world. And in each of these areas, my ideas involve a general principle and a set of actions that can be undertaken that fundamentally change how we interact with this world. Let's go. The first is energy. The principle is simple enough. We need abundant energy in the form of electricity, and we need to afford to waste electricity. We can do that by 1. Nationalizing energy production and distribution infrastructure. 2. Build natural and artificial batteries to store the intermittent renewable energy sources. We also need to build new generation nuclear power. And for that I apologize to my ecologist friends, but it's something we will need to do. 4. We will have to electrify all ground transportation, effective immediately. 5. Develop hydrogen fuel cell technology, especially for rural and remote household energy use and transportation. And that's it for energy. Those 5 things can change the way our economy is structured as we know it. Now, the principle for society is work is for living, life is not for work. Now, I'm sure you've heard that before or some iteration of it, but it's easier said than done, of course. The first thing we need to do, in my view, is eliminate gross domestic product reporting as a touchstone for the nation's progress. 2. Assume single income as the touchstone for life affordability. Single incomes must allow stable and comfortable family life. 3. Income from work should never be taxed higher than income from asset ownership. End housing inflation as a goal. Housing is a basic need, not a commodity off of which to make money. Employee co-ownership in the workplace and universal sectoral bargaining. That a single worker in the land should not be covered by some measure of sectoral bargaining. A lifelong inalienable right to education, in the form of schooling, information in the form of a well-funded media, and the pursuit of knowledge in the form of access to scientific outputs. 7. Provide the right to an occupation or work within every citizen's community, if they so choose. This is otherwise known as a jobs guarantee. These 7 simple things can transform our society in a way that many suggestions by current day politicians never could. The third area, the world. The principle there is also very simple. Honesty at home means honor in the world. The first is a ban on promoting national corporations accused of corruption, environmental, or human rights violations in foreign trade deals. Simple enough. Basically, a ban on promoting assholes abroad. Everyone should be able to get behind that. 2. Corporate universal jurisdiction. If our businesses act badly abroad, prosecute those crimes as though they happened at home. Underdeveloped judicial systems in poorer countries should not have to deal with big multinational corporations on their own. 3. Fair trade and debt deals. New deals with foreign nations must pass an impoverishment, corruption, and war crime test, meaning we don't use our power to impoverish other countries, indulge in ruling class corruption, or provide the means to commit war crimes. Non-intervention. End overt and covert military operations we would disapprove of if reciprocated right here at home. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. The point here has not been to go into any particular details, but to actually remind us of what visions actually sound like. A vision is not a constant manifesto read by fans but ignored by its target demographic and the media at large. It's not a professionally heartless suit person carefully explaining why Granny can't turn her heater up this winter. It's also not a silver-tongued douche telling us we're all in this together when you're left as a residential or business tenant unable to pay the bills. The flip side is, however, it can be a maniac painting a picture of those whose rights and voices must dominate. But it can also be a different kind of maniac fighting the right fight for decades. All I can say is right now, it feels like it's been so long since we've had one of those maniacs in a place of power that it's been easy for people to forget that visions are the lighthouses that can lead us away from dangerous places and towards better destinations. This has been the Political Vagrant, and thank you for listening. It's been a little while, and I hope to be with you more frequently in the future.